In 1927, the first 20 minutes of The Jazz Singer started out just like any other silent film of the time. Just some music and caption cards in place of speech. But then, seemingly without warning, Al Jolson spoke on camera for the first time in cinema history with this iconic line.
Wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you, you ain't heard nothing. You want to hear Toot Tootsie? All right, hold on.
It might just seem like mundane banter now, but when that premiered in theaters, audiences actually went absolutely wild. I mean, there's reports that the audience began chanting Jolson's name over and over, standing up to cheer after every song from that point forward. It was almost as crazy as that time Morbius said his iconic line for the very first time.
Time to dawn. No, it's Morbid time.
Iconic. I mean, wow. Anyway, things got even crazier a bit later in the film when Jolson has an improvised talking scene with his mother in the film.
You like that, Mama? I'm glad of it. I'd rather please you than anybody I know of.
It's literally just playful dialogue between them, but it was exactly at this point that the audience became quite literally hysterical. One journalist described the audience as a, quote, milling, battling mob. Whatever that means. It's pretty hard to imagine, but it must have been a wild moment to experience. Film critic Robert E. Sherwood called it the future, being quoted as saying, "Fraught with tremendous significance, I, for one, suddenly realized that the end of the silent drama is in sight." I mean, really think about it. Prior to this moment, all audiences had was music to accompany the films they watched. Originally, this literally required a physical piano player or even a small orchestra inside the theater to accompany the movie. Eventually, the Vitaphone was introduced, which allowed projectionists to play recorded music and sometimes even sound effects along with the film. But it wasn't until The Jazz Singer that audiences got to hear an actor show off their actual personality and show some charisma through spoken dialogue. Again, you have to understand that there wasn't any real way to see and hear a celebrity talking other than seeing them in person prior to this moment. Silent films just didn't hit the same. They were often referred to as cheap entertainment, and they were kind of considered low art. This was a big deal. It's almost like if you went back to the early 90s before the internet became a thing, handed somebody an iPhone and FaceTime whatever celebrity of their choice. I mean, they'd be mind blown. Now, obviously, that's not an exact one-to-one comparison, but I think it paints a pretty accurate picture of what a big deal this must have been in 1927. It really goes to show how important sound is, not only in entertaining, but in the ability to immerse an audience. It sells reality in a world that doesn't exist. The Jazz Singer entered public domain on January 1st of this year, meaning that the copyright on the film has officially expired and can be used by anyone for any purpose, whether that be personal or commercial. And it also means that you can watch it for free on YouTube. But before you watch it, there's an elephant in the room that should be addressed. And it's one that seemingly nobody talks about when bringing up this iconic scene. I mean, this scene has been in dozens of movies, most recently in Babylon, being referenced as like, you know, this big moment in cinema. But nobody seemingly wants to talk about the elephant in the room. Specifically, the fact that Al Jolson, the star of the movie, the guy who spoke the first words into cinema, takes on blackface toward the end of the film. Something that was unfortunately considered the norm back then. And look, I'm not one to get preachy, and I know you just clicked on this video because of the catchy title, but I think it's important not to gloss over stuff like this when talking about such a pivotal moment in film and sound history, because honestly, while I had heard about this iconic scene in film dozens of times before, this unfortunate aspect of the film never really came up once until I started doing some research on it for this video. The film launched talkies and changed movies forever. It also had blackface. I mean, you can't talk about one aspect while ignoring the other. I think it's weird not to. It's as if in 100 years we looked back on the stunning visual effects of Avatar 2 and just glossed over the fact that James Cameron killed an actual alien whale to make this film's visually stunning action sequences. Okay, that didn't happen, obviously. But it's like if that did happen and it was a completely normal thing and we just glossed over it in the future. Progress in technology should also be followed by progress in humanity as a whole. We should get better as our means to communicate and to create empathy for our fellow humans gets better. Okay, I know this video took a huge left turn, but hey, I wasn't about to make a video about how this one scene changed everything and then just ignore the rest of the movie. I mean, could you imagine doing like a presentation in class about this while the movie's playing in the background and just like not acknowledging it at all? And so that's the scene that changed everything. Yeah, you see. Wait, what is he doing there? I'm sorry. What was that? Could you move? I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Is he doing black? Oh yes, he talked. Okay, yeah, that's. Is he doing talking? Yes, he talked. He talked. He talked, and it changed the world. Okay, yeah, that's definitely blackface. And that's how you dig yourself into a hole with a video idea that you no longer know how to end. But hopefully you learned something, and now you're questioning everything like I am. Like I said, it is now in public domain, and I do think it's an important piece of history, so if you do want to watch it, it's available on a link in the description. I'd love to hear your thoughts on The Jazz Singer. I mean, obviously it's huge, it's iconic. I mean, I can only imagine being in the audience when those words were first spoken. It must have been mind-blowing. I don't think, that means that because it has these other things that didn't age well, it should just be erased from our history. But it does open up an interesting topic of conversation. Like, where do you draw the line? Do you mention it just for its achievements and then just try to ignore kind of the not so fun parts about it? Or do you have to bring it up as a whole? I don't know. Tell me, I mean, what do you think? It also makes me wonder, like, what's gonna age terribly in 100 years from our current films and music and just society as a whole. I mean, maybe not much will change. Maybe everything will change. Maybe we'll go backwards. I don't know. What do you think? But I also want to show some appreciation to you if you've made it this far into the video. I know it's not my typical style of content, but I wanted to take a risk and let the story guide the narrative rather than the other way around in an attempt to try to keep it squeaky clean for the sake of just playing it safe. So if you like this video, or hell, if you even hated it, let me know. I'm still trying to find a voice for this channel and taking little risks. And I think that's part of the whole process. So thanks for sticking through to the end, and I will see you around. Thanks for watching.